Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Standards of Geekness podcast YouTube page. It's Evan here with a Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel deck profile and gameplay. With the lull in the Pokemon Pocket meta and just whatnot, I've been getting back into this and playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. It's been an interesting experience considering I haven't really played in months. Um, Basically played two decks pretty much exclusively from rookie all the way until Diamond. I haven't had the time to push to Master. Season ends, believe, tomorrow night, but we'll see if I get there. But yeah, let's jump right in. We've got pure Mitsurugi. So let's just go over the deck itself. We've got two Droll Lockbirds, one Maxi, three Ash, standard hand traps. We've got Lamia, which is a one card starter, lets you get a level 8 reptile. Three Fulos. We've got Mitsurugi no Mikoto Kusanagi as a one of. Um, Saji is a one of. We've got two Aramasa, and then one of Wosu. And then, then basically the namesakes of the deck, they're Mitsurugi Rituals. We've got uh, Ame no Mukurama no Mitsurugi, Futsu no Mitama no Mitsurugi, and then Habakiri as a three of. This is pretty standard ratios. Three pre-preparation of rites, one pot of extravagance, three Mitsurugi ritual, two Mitsurugi mirror, one called by the grave, three Mitsurugi prayers, one Magatama, three Dominus impulse, one great purification, and one red reboot in the main deck. Um, this is a pretty well-oiled machine when it comes to actual gameplay. It's pretty consistent. I definitely think probably the weakest card in the main is probably the red reboot, but there's just some games where you play it if they're playing like a heavy trap deck or like lab or something like that, where it just blows them out and then they lose their whole board basically. As far as the extra deck, we've got one copy of King of the Feral Imps, one Tornado Dragon, one number 60 Dugaris, one Light Dragon Ignister, one number 38 Hope Harbinger Dragon. We got number 90 Galaxy Ice Photon Lord, Divine Golden Shadow Dragon, one Typhon, one IP Masquerena, two Reptilian Echinata, or one, excuse me, I can read. I was looking at the other stat on it. One Dynamondo, one SP Little Knight, one Ragnarika Celine Snapper, one Gorgon. This card's been really, really good. Just the ability to just prevent people from doing things and just like have an overwhelming presence. And then one WP Fancy Ball. This card has come up clutch in a couple games. Um, Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into some gameplay. And I will make sure to include an actual link to the actual deck list. I know seeing it visually something that bothers me. Let's jump right into the gameplay. Um, Obviously, this hand's pretty straightforward. Pot of Extravagance. They're going to Ash here. I actually think this is often a mistake a lot of people make versus this deck. Save the Ash for when they try to, Habakiri. It's just a lot better to do it then. Being able to just tutor the spell, I'm looking at just from a gameplay standpoint, being able to, pop off. Here they play Maxi, so they've wasted two hand traps. I'm going to go into Makoto Saji, grab preparation, a great purification. I'm going to ritual, summon out the Big Daddy Negator, Mitsurugi, uh, being able to just. It is what it is here. We force them to basically, they're going to use the Veiler, which is fine. You'll see the sequencing here as to why I would use that then. I'm not super concerned. They're playing. I don't know they're playing Blue Eyes at this time, but based on the Magna Hunt and Veiler, we just let them go. Our plan here is to just let them play out whatever they can in regards to getting the trap into play, and then letting their trap do the dirty work for us. We're going to force them to negate. They're going to set up a, discard the card, set up a primate lordly load. We're going to go ahead and purification. This is not only going to negate their spell, but it's going to cost them their whole board too. And then also on our turn, and then we can banish that to summon other stuff. And then we get a prayers for our follow up. And here they go for the wishes of the blue eyes, which it is what it is. We don't have a hand trap to really stop it, but we've still got the Magatama. We're just waiting for them to play the trap, waiting for them to special, letting everything resolve. So here, this is something that you guys will want to generally do in your gameplay. Toggle to the on position. That way you're able to respond to when the maiden comes out. That way you can blow up the trap, and then it'll save you some gameplay. There's some time. It's a good teaching moment here. Attribute that, which we're fine getting rid of that. They lose their whole board. They're down to one card. And then they're going to concede. Pretty straightforward gameplay. Overall, pretty happy with how that match went. Let's move on to the next game. All right, this next game is going to be versus Yummy. So let's go ahead and see what they can do. And we'll do our best to go some high-level gameplay and high-level commentary. All right, we open with a pretty cracked hand, honestly. Today was the first time I think I've drawn pot in multiple instances while playing this deck in a long time. They're gonna Fulos. I don't think Fulos is like super great versus me, but it's enough to where I need to get my Mother Ritual from the deck, so it's enough for me to play the Ash. We're gonna grab the Saji. They're gonna Veiler. That's fine. We've still got our Ritual spell to get to the. Basically, we're playing this to bait out their hand traps. And then we're able to get out my favorite card in the deck, Amano Murakamo. We're going to get Great Purification. We're going to do that. And then this will let us get the Magatama as well for disruption. They're down to 3 cards. We're looking at, we've got a +2 on them. We got 5. That's 6, actually. So we're +3 on them. They'll draw their card. So here we're gonna force them to. You really want this pre-reese map? You're gonna pay for it. You're gonna pitch a card and lose 4,000 life points. And then here I'm going to negate. So I'll pause this. So the reason I do this here is not only am I going to negate and destroy, I'm basically setting it up to where if they had other things here, I could blow it up. Looking at this in hindsight, I probably should have waited to let them special another card. I was just trying to keep them off of the normal summon because then they can't really function. So yeah. We get a prayers. They still have the follow-up. Yeah, in hindsight, that actually probably wasn't that good. Because then they can still have this to get the Yummy Snatchy. And then we're going to blow that up. They don't have the rank 1, so they're basically put off of that. My whole logic behind things is just keeping their field clear. But in hindsight, I probably should have waited to let them, go into the Yummy and, maybe start popping off a little more of their resources. I just know that Yummy sometimes can be a little bit scary with what they do. Let's move on to the. And then our final game that we're going to do is going to be versus K9 Vanquish Soul. So let's play. Trying to remember where this one was at in the climb. I know I was stuck in Plat 1 for the longest time. This is another example of this deck just being consistent, having cracked hands. They're going to have Maxi. we want to get our board set up, so we're going to Ash aggressively here, especially with Maxi being at 1. It's just pretty much always the right call. I thought that was a different game. We'll go ahead and include one more, guys. All right, for our real final game, we're going to do a Mitsurugi mirror. Let's jump right into it. It's hard to keep track sometimes what is and isn't going to be a long game. They used to show you how many turns it was up top. All right, we're going second. So we're going to pitch Max C. So my logic here is we're going to bait out the Ash. They're going to add the cards to their hand. And then we're going to Droll and Lockbird, which will really prevent them from being able to do a whole lot. We're going to chain Droll and Lockbird. This forces them to do the summon. I don't particularly know why they would do that one. I guess this to tribute it, to have another body to tribute. They get a Mitsurugi out. They're popping off. I'm not too particularly concerned with this. We've got a solid hand. It could be better. So we're staring down the gun. We're going to see if we can bait something here. Bait to the gate. They have a second copy of Ash. So we've gotten rid of all the cards in their hand. So here we're going to go ahead and Habakiri. They're going to negate. I'm going to easily be okay with pitching the Kusanagi. Pitch that. Grab the Saji. Let's chain block that they did have something. They've already used their negate and their Ash, their cards. We're going to grab a ritual spell. We're going to grab the Great Purification. So, this won't be game necessarily on the first turn. But this puts them in a pretty much unwinnable position, in my opinion. Again, always chain block when you can. We grab Magatama. We nuke their board. They're in top deck, so Murakama is just basically going to be game over. They're going to call by the grave. We're going to negate because why not? So did I forget to attack then? No, that was a different game. So this just sets it up. We get that back. Chain block there. Grab mirror. Grab ritual. Habakiri. It'll be really interesting to see how this deck is affected losing a copy of Habakiri. I'm not sure how much it'll be affected. And then it's just game. Overall, pretty happy with how the deck performed. Basically, plats 3 through 5 were super easy. The climb all the way up, I used a combination of this deck and Branded Draco Tail or Branded Draco Tail, which is another deck I'll do another deck profile on. But yeah, overall, really happy with the consistency, the power level, just everything feels great. I haven't really invested a ton of time into learning the Vanquish Soul K9 deck myself. I probably will at some point. Just depends on my workload. But yeah, overall, super happy with how the deck performed. Super happy with how the deck performed. And yeah, I'm happy to answer anybody's questions there. Far be it from me to profess that I am an expert at everything. I just really had a lot of fun trying to climb. This deck reminds me a lot of the good old Yu-Gi-Oh days that I used to when I used to play regularly. So I think that's why I was naturally drawn to it. Um, Make sure, as always, to like, subscribe. We appreciate all the support here on the channel. Make sure you go to duelingguard.com, SOG15. Enter the code SOG15 and get 15% off all your gaming merchandise needs. Now, I know the Yu-Gi-Oh fans out there, there's some Yu-Gi-Oh product lines on Dueling Guard. We've got Dark Magician Girl deck boxes, mats, binders. There's Blue Eyes White Dragon related things. There's tons of cool stuff from other animes and other card games as well. I'm excited for what the podcast is doing, and I hope you guys, as always, make sure you smash that subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.